逃走集団が14街道南交差点付近で乱闘中との通報が入りました。
After the mediocre misery of Terry Gilliam's Brazil last week, this week our dystopia is of a much more vivid and explosive variety. Tonight we're talking about Katsuhiro Otomo's 1988 cyberpunk action film Akira. Akira was originally a manga series written and illustrated by Otomo. It ran from 1982 to 1990 as a serial in Young magazine. Otomo had made a name for himself adding science fiction elements and new art styles to manga. Something that I think we don't think about much now. There's a lot of different types of manga, and because of that, a lot of different types of anime and animated films. But his style was novel in the 1970s and 1980s, and would have huge crossover appeal, gaining a big following in the West. Akira would be one of the first manga series to be completely translated into English for an American audience by Marvel's Epic Comics imprint, starting in 1988 when the film Akira was released. One factor that's been credited with the runaway success of the manga was the decision to bring a full-color version to American audiences. After a frustrating period in 1979 when Otomo attempted to finish his series Fireball, the story of a group of freedom fighters attempting to expose the secret that their city is governed by a supercomputer called Atom, after one of the freedom fighters who has an older brother with psychic powers loses contact with him, the older brother has been taken and connected to the supercomputer. Otomo didn't prepare enough for the series and was tired of it after a short time. So he took those themes and started writing a new series called Domu, A Child's Dream, about a child and an old man who possess psychic powers. During this time period, he was asked to come up with a manga series for Young magazine. And out of this period of creative frustration was birthed Akira. Akira takes place in a futuristic Tokyo, now called Neo-Tokyo. The original Tokyo was destroyed by a massive explosion and rebuilt. This explosion is believed to be another nuclear explosion, which kicks off World War III. Rebuilt on an artificial island in Tokyo Bay, this new city is supposed to host the Olympics, when a new rash of anti-government student protests break out around the city. These protests are based around the 1968 university protest, which we've talked about quite a bit in our Mishima episode a couple years ago. Tokyo held the Summer Olympics in 1964, although not at the same time as the protests, but Akira harnessed the post-war tumult of the 1960s, during the period of extreme rapid modernization in Japan. Like in the story of Akira, Japan would actually win the 2020 bid to host the Olympics in Tokyo, which was pointed to for how much Otomo actually managed to predict. And based on slogans in Akira, a movement of anti-government, anti-Olympic protests emerged. Because of COVID, the Olympics would be moved to 2021, by which point Shinzo Abe had resigned in a cloud of scandal, but not before increasing the Japanese military buildup, leaving his successor to deal with the fallout. Again, similar to events in Akira. At the same time as writing Akira, Otomo got involved with the film adaptation of the science fiction manga series The Genma Wars, as one of the artists working on character development. Seeing what happened on that project led Otomo to understand when he was approached for a film adaptation of Akira, he must retain creative control. And so Otomo became the writer and director of the 1988 film adaptation of Akira. Akira is a cautionary tale about the dangers of pure scientific experimentation. It follows a biker gang led by Kaneda, who eternally looks after his hapless best friend, Tetsuo. As the bikers battle the annoying Juggalo-style clown biker gang, Tetsuo crashes his bike into a small child who's being chased down by government agents. Both Tetsuo and the child are taken by the agents, and the rest of the bikers are arrested. Tetsuo is brought to be part of a secret government project called the Espers, which takes children who display psychic powers and experiments on them, run by a ruthless colonel of the Japanese Self-Defense Forces. In the backdrop of the story, the population of Neo-Tokyo is becoming increasingly restless with a deeply unpopular tax reform program leading to massive unrest and a rash of what's explained as terrorist activity. The government is again corrupt and weak, the military itching to take control. However, the resistance movement isn't just trying to push a different tax proposal, but the resistance fighters who are arrested along with the bikers, including Kai and Ryu, are trying to expose the incredibly expensive and immoral Esper program. It even turns out the original explosion that destroyed Tokyo was the result of experimentation on the original Esper, Akira, when government agents thought they could control the powers within these extraordinarily powerful children. Tetsuo is awakened as an Esper, and his lifetime of being bullied and patronized turns him into a powerful weapon seeking to show his might. Like a lot of the 20th century's most interesting art from Japan, Akira is clearly a meditation and exploration of the scientific mindset that led to the atom bombs being dropped during World War II. Science fiction has been an important way this has been grappled with, even looking at something as iconic as Godzilla, usually disguised from delicate American audiences with some kind of metaphor. It also looks at social alienation in a society that's undergone repeated upheavals, with the Espers being an extreme version of that alienation, but everyone, including the bikers, the protesters, even the government and military, seem alienated. Once it was decided that Akira would be adapted, the Akira Committee Partnership, where entertainment companies like Toho, Kodansha, Bandai, Sumitomo, and Laserdisc came together to fund and distribute it. And TMS Entertainment produced the animation. The pretty high budget of 700 million yen, or $5.7 million in 1980s money, was spent to make sure that a futuristic Tokyo could be created in all its glory. This paid off when the box office score for Akira was $49 million. Utilizing state-of-the-art technology, pre-scored dialogue, where dialogue was recorded before the film's production even started,
Take a look at the finished product. Doesn't it look real? Let's hear more about this from the color coordinator, Miss Yamana.
Well, it's quite a bit different from anything I've done before. The film takes place mainly at night. If you look at the color chart, you will see the tremendous variety of dark tones. Many colors you wouldn't see in any other animation. There is such subtlety in the various tones that you wouldn't notice them on a television screen. But in the theater, the large variety of colors really makes a difference. It helps to create the night scenes, but it was quite difficult.
As well as 160,000 animated cells and CGI imagery. One of the lead animators in the film, Makiko Futake, would go on to be Studio Ghibli's lead animator. The animators added 50 new color shades to the standard color palette, which helps many of the night scenes really stand out. Akira has been hailed as one of the greatest films ever made, especially for animated films, and along with its incredibly popular American and French manga releases, would bring Japanese popular culture to Western audiences in a way that we hadn't experienced it before.